Good morning to the entire United States of America. Good morning to Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, Northeast Louisiana, Southeast Louisiana. How are my peeps doing this morning? I trust that you're doing all right. Well, we are going to have a great show today. As soon as I get a chance to hear the studio, we'll bring in the geniuses. But I tell you what, we are going to bring that up soon. How are my people doing in the studio? Let's see if I can hear them yet.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear El Senor Genius. Good morning, my friend. How are you doing this morning?
Well, it looks like the tin cans and string are holding up, and we have a very, very special guest this morning for you. Besides Neil Aquino, it's Sandy Weinman. Sandy's going to be joining us here shortly for the very first day of Fun Drive. And yes, before you reach for that off button on your radio, this is going to be a fun time, okay? And Egberto has a great show for you. So just stay tuned for that. Jack, what you got, man?
Well, yesterday or the Tuesday, Steve asked me on the air what worries me or what keeps me up at night, basically. And I really couldn't give him an unmeasured answer, and I got called on it on the phone. So here's my response to that. I fear a Christian national fascist nation with unfettered, unregulated capitalism, a military-industrial complex with deep taxpayer pockets pumping out 40% of the world's military spending, a Pentagon with the doctrine of domination militarily and economically, big oil, big pharma, and healthcare picking our pockets, women being held hostage in their own bodies, the final goal of the genocide in Gaza, the cultural side of the Palestinian for an oil field. What happens when you combine corporate fascism, Christian nationalism, with a government to protect them, with a flag, and a madman who wants to be president? As Alfred E. Newman would say, what, me worry? What could go wrong with this? You're damn right I'm scared.
I know. I mean, a lot of folks are scared, and I'm telling people, don't be scared. Do something. Do what Jack's doing. Do what Howard's doing. Do what we do here. We engage. Do what the one and only Neil Aquino does. Neil Aquino from the Houston Democracy Project. Good morning, Neil Aquino. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, Egberto. Good morning, studio. Good morning, all the many Texas and global listeners.
You know what's interesting? Let's pick up on what Jack talks about, the last sentence that he said, because I think that is important, and that's what's hitting everybody, Neil. He talks about people being fearful, but I think there's some good things that we saw happen in Harris County in the last election. We saw the machine, for all practical purposes, get beat by a young woman who got elected, not by a little bit, but quite a bit. And what it says is that if you engage the people, if you get around folks, if you let them know that you're on their side, that we can actually get the government we deserve, and we can make what the Constitutional talks about. We, the people, be actually in control. Your thoughts on that?
Right. Well, right. You know, the Republicans threw everything they had at Lena and the whole tough on crime crew. And another victory along those lines was defeating Kim Ogg in the primary, the Democratic primary. That was also a solid victory, and it does show those fights can be won. They had everything going. The police union, the fire union, Governor Abbott, Amelia, they threw everything, the TV stations, Crime Stoppers, all of it. But we prevailed and then prevailed as well in the Kim Ogg primary.
You know, and I even bring a newer one when we look at the election of Molly Cook to replace El Senor our current Mayor Whitmire's position in the Senate. That was what I call a grassroots win. And since we cover news both locally and nationally, and a very solid Republican district. Well, I don't want to use Republican. I should say MAGA type district in Michigan in a local election. We also had where that particular person beat the incumbent, even though polls didn't say it was going to happen, by quite a bit. So what I'm saying, people that are out there, the country is going through some angst right now, and people are running scared right now. And the thing is not about running scared. The thing is about activating yourself. The thing is about talking to your mother, your father, your brother, everybody, your friends, and making sure that you participate in the body politic. If you're a participant, if you bring the people along with you, you can get those elected who best will serve your interests. One of the things we do here at KPFT as well is we can't empower anybody. We don't have the power to empower. You know why? Because you are already empowered. It's just a matter of you executing that power that you still have constitutionally and otherwise. Anything else you want to add to that?
I'll say, one thing I've been thinking about, and I've been thinking about the blog post. I agree with everything you said. And yet at the same time, it can be true that this level of stress, and Howard alluded to it, over the future that's envisioned, it is a mental health crisis. I've said a bunch of times to folks that this current political situation is a mental health crisis, and a mass mental health crisis. And we can be empowered and be engaging and be forward, and we have to be. But I know that I've made a point to try to forget about it for a certain portion each day, and I think people should be willing to consider that about themselves, see that in others. This is I believe the prospect of authoritarianism and this cruelty is a mental health crisis. And that should be acknowledged too. And you need to do what you need to do to separate yourself from it for some portion of the day. And I do that.
It is so interesting. One of the topics that we're going to cover today is an article that came out called "The Price We Pay for Bezos and Gates: Less Moral Societies." And what I want to do with that article thereafter is weave it right into the current state that we're in. But before we lose people here, I want to tell you, first of all, brothers and sisters listening, I know many of you know that we are heading into Fund Drive. I wanted to hold this back a little bit more before get you some more meat. But listen to this. Notice how we started the program. Notice what we started with the wordiology as far as reminding ourselves that we're empowered. There are not many places that are doing that. If you listen to MSNBC right this minute, and I have it on right now, it is all keeping all of us in a state of flux and confused. It is telling us all these problems that we have, but it doesn't make us a participant as we should in the solution. What I'm telling you here this morning is we are asking every single listener here, and what we hope to be a growing listener base, to take the power you have and become a part of the solution. And a part of this solution, folks, is making sure that we are here on air permanently. We are here on air to be your voice, to be a part of your voice, a part of your ears, so that we can get things done. And in that light, we are going to be spending a few little small segments here asking you, as we give you a full program. We are going to be here giving you a program. So we don't want you wandering off to another station. We want you here getting the program, because we are going to feed the mind. And with that, I'm going to pass it to our general manager, Sandy Wyman. Come on in, Sandy.
Hey, good morning, Egberto.
Good morning, my brother.
Our May Share-a-thon. Thanks for tuning in this morning. and for supporting KPFT. We do this 4 times a year, of course, and here we are in one of those 4 periods trying to gather up the funds to go just a little bit further. When we go on the air and set a goal, such as we have for this fund drive, $150,000 over the course of the next, 2.5 weeks or so, we're hoping that that money comes in and we can continue to pay all our bills as we've been doing and, foster community radio on into the future so you can hear voices like Egberto. But I'm getting down the road too fast. Egberto, it's early, for me anyway, first day of many, and I really appreciate what you do every morning, getting up, getting on the air, and doing the quality show that you do. I'd like to just mention one thank you gift because it's tomorrow and all weekend, and that's the Big As Texas Music Festival. Thomas Rhett, Dirk Bentley, Billy Strings, Morgan Wade, Dwight Yoakam, Los Lobos, and many, many others. You heard me correctly. All those artists in one place right here, just north of town, up in Montgomery County. I've got 1 pair of tickets for those and 1 pair only if you want them. They're $400. Now, on this fund drive, we've done something a little bit different than we usually do. Join as a sustainer at the monthly amount it takes to cover that $400, and you can pay it monthly. You don't have to come up with the whole thing at once. It's a pair of tickets to the Big As Texas Music Festival. We got lots of thank yous, and we can talk about those as we unroll, unfold, unwind here this morning. But our number, 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738. Hit option 1 to be connected to the donation center, or go to kpft.org and click donate and follow the bouncing ball. It's easy, and it's so appreciated because without you taking action, without you listening and supporting, I don't think KPFT is going to be in a very good space. Funds are what we need to continue. Egberto?
Thank you very much for that, Sandy. Folks, so what Sandy says clearly is what we really need to do to keep this going. So again, that number is 713-526-5738, and we hit extension number 1 to give a contribution. I have our screens up right now that I can give you a thank you on air immediately, unless you tell us not to. Sandy, the manager you just heard, have a very high quota that we must meet because we must operate the station correctly. And I want to go above and beyond said quota. So I'm going to ask all of you. We know we have a lot of listeners all over. And what we're asking is for you to show the value in this station. And please give us a call at 713-526-5738. Hit extension 1, give a contribution, and let them know that that contribution is for politics, in the name of politics done right, not for politics done right. Because do remember, I get 0. This all goes into the coffers of KPFT. Likewise, folks, you can go to kpft.org and likewise give the contribution. And when you do so, I ask again to select Politics Done Right so that Sandy and the people who do the books out there will know that this program is actually reaching people. That's how the station is able to know a particular program is something the people want. So please give us a call, 713-526-5738, extension number 1, or go to kpft.org and give that contribution. Be sure to put Politics Done Right as the program you're supporting. Before I go to Moses, I want to also say, please, I do this every time as a thank you, just a thank you. I say, let us have some coffee, mano a mano, brother to brother, brother to sister. And that contribution right now with the host of Politics Done Right is a $250 contribution. You can either go do it on air or go to kpft.org and select that. That will help us immensely. We must bring in over $500 every time we come on air. Every morning we come on air. So please, 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 let's get this stuff going and get it started so I can tell you thank you. I really want to do so. But Moses, good morning. How are you doing this morning?
Buenos días, mi mano.
¿Cómo estás, corazón?
Muy bien, muy bien. Okay. I got at what you said this morning when what Jack said, the word fear. And that is what is breaking us down. We should not fear. Because when we fear, it debilitates the psyche and it makes us weak. Now, as one president said, it was a president or that guy in England, there is nothing to fear but fear itself. And that is what they depend on. You are afraid and you will cower and they'll walk over you. You know, like my grandmother would say, look the devil in the face and tell him yes. You know, and the way we need to do this is to rise up en masse and vote and repudiate the rising phalanx of right-wing demolition derby. That is demolishing peace and human rights on earth. That is what we need to do. Be strong. Do not let them make you afraid. No matter what. Because most of the nations that have stood up, the First World War, Second World War, and whatever, it is the people who have stood up in the face of the enemy and said, we are not going to back down. What you are doing to the earth is wrong. And there is a power greater than man that will make the judgment and decision. Fear not, America. Go forward. Just like God told Moses, tell the people, go forward, because the battle behind their back belongs to God. Thank you.
Thank you so kindly for those very, very smart words. And I see the smile on Neil Aquino's face, who I want to make a comment on that, because I could have said that no better.
No, I can't improve on Moses.
You know, let me tell you, for all of those who listen to Moses, one of the things, the way to keep a population crippled is to keep them scared, keep them concerned that if they don't do what X wants them to do, that somehow it is the end. But, you know, specifically women right now in all these elections, what we've noticed is you have been making a difference. Because in all, I don't know how the people are polling, but in every election, the polls are being overcome. Even in the close races, they are close no more. Not really. People, it's not about it's not about fear. It's about executing. Let me get to Harry real quick. And Harry, I'm going to ask you to be not very long today because we have to do some pitching as well. And we want to talk about our program. So good morning, my dear brother, Harry. How are you doing this morning?
Buenos dias, hermano Egberto Willies. I'll be as quick as I can so we can get through this. Good morning to Sandy. Good morning to Jack. Good morning to Howard. And good morning to your guest, Neil Aquino, who is brilliant and love having him on and love listening, especially when you have him on. But anyway, Moses is correct about all her comments, and Jack was correct about all his comments. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was correct about that. All we have to do is fear itself. But what we got to do is stand up and fight for our rights, like Bob Marley used to sing in that song, "Get Up, Stand Up," because this Project 2025, and just listening to Arnie for the full hour, listening to Ann Nelson and Anne-Marie Orts, the school teacher she had at Dartmouth, they want to, and then hearing what I heard on the BBC last night with Donald Trump, what he says, calling that madman, as Jack puts it, who wants to be president again, says we want to we want to stop the radical left and the solidarity Gaza protest camps with these students protesting that. So that's what Get Up, Stand Up for Your Rights is all about. We have to fight these Christian fascists, these corporate fascists. We have to fight and get in there and vote. That's what we have to do, and so that they don't dismantle democracy. And as I said to you on the show the other day about how they want to destroy the New Deal, destroy our civil rights, just destroy all our freedoms. So we just got to get in there and fight, and we do that by voting and stopping fascists from getting in control.
Brother, couldn't have said it any better. Thank you so kindly. Let me do a little couple minute pitch here. Thank you, my brother. Appreciate you. Anyway, folks, we have a quite a bit more program left, but we are not yet. Remember, we are the first show after 6 in the mornings, when the morning realists start before Arnie, of course. But here's the thing. I'm looking at a blank screen right now. And, I want to continue to just talk about the things of immediacy right now. But there has to be a balance in the support that we get from everyone. And we understand that for many, these are difficult times. We're not talking about you. We're talking about those who can say, you know what, I want to provide KPFT with the resources so that we can continue doing what we do. We want to do that. And KPFT always says, thank you. We thank you for doing that. One of the thank yous that we have is we say, look, if you go ahead and give us $5 a month, that's less than a coffee a month, right? If you say, I think this station that I listen to several times a week, this program that I listen to several times a week, I can, if I saw if that program were a person, and I saw that person on the streets, and we said, let's go have a chat, I wouldn't mind having a coffee with that person, and I wouldn't mind saying, hey, have a coffee on me, once a month. So we have the option, folks, that we're asking. In fact, those people who go ahead and support us at a level of $5 a month or $10 a month, $15 a month, we have people who are matching that, which enhances that gift for the next few days. So what we're asking is that you call us right now at 713-526-5738 and hit extension 1 and go ahead and say, I want to give you guys a sustainer, and a thank you will be, we'll give you thank yous, many thank you gifts out there for a token of your support. Again, 713-526-5738. And I'm sure in the studio, Sandy has a lot of other reasons for us to give you thank yous. Sandy?
Yes, I do. Now, look, that match that you're talking about, I'm glad you brought it up. We really would like you to join $5 a month, sustaining membership. That is, you give us your digits, $5 a month until you say stop. And when you do that, your pledge, your $60 pledge will be matched with $57. We have an anonymous, very generous donor, once again, willing to supply $50 when you take that step to become a sustainer. And 7 members of the local station board have stepped up to provide an additional $7 match for the people coming on board as sustainers this drive. So consider that $5 a month. Like you said, Egberto, about less than a cup of coffee at a Starbucks. Once you tip the barista, your $5 bill is gone. Maybe your $10 bill for that matter. So consider that $5 a month. You can be the first one to pledge during these regular hours of asking during our May Fund Drive, because so far, as you said, there's 0 on the board. We hope to gather up a few $100 every morning, start our day, and every day keep pace with this goal that we have in front of us. Sustainers provided a good amount of money to start this drive. We're starting this drive with over $20,000. Actually over $21,000 as a result of sustaining pledges. So come on board, join that group. Everybody all together at $5 a month is a very powerful thing. KPFT continues to operate at the same budgeting level, the same cost as we've done for the last couple of years. We really have not increased salaries or costs all that much. So we're asking again for the same goal and asking you to become part of a larger collective. All the members of KPFT through Houston that have already joined are now looking at you. Come on in, join in, help support this. If we can get our sustaining memberships up high enough, then these fund drives, the one that we're doing just now, will become shorter or even non-existent if we get enough people to take that action, to take that step, to supply the money to KPFT. And we have thank you gifts, lots of thank you gifts. And one of the new ones, Egberto, this time around, I mentioned those biggest Texas music festival because that's this weekend. If you call up and sign up, you'll be gratified instantly, as in tomorrow and all weekend. That's a 3-day music festival, and this is a pass for 2 to all 3 days. We also have a new 32-ounce stainless steel tumbler with our logo on it. For those of you that are into the metal thermos revolution, well, here it is, the KPFT stainless steel tumbler. It's a $120 pledge, and you can add a bag of coffee beans, the Caroline Street coffee beans, coffee from Lola Savannah, for an additional $20 or $11.62 a month. The tumbler, $8.33 a month. Now, you don't have to be a sustainer. You can pay that off over a year. But please do consider a sustaining membership this morning. That really brings a smile on the face of everybody down here, knowing that you've joined in with your fellow brothers to support, brothers and sisters, to support KPFT. It's the easiest way to do it, and it's the road to less fund drive days. 713-526-5738, option 1 for KPFT.org. Egberto.
Yes, absolutely. Let me throw Neil into the pitching for KPFT before we continue with the program. Neil, why is it you yourself not only are here once a week with good information, you are also here as a part as a contributor to KPFT. Tell us why. Well, I think he may be a bit frozen. He may have to call in, or chime in again. Every now and then, you know how the internet works. Well, let me just tell you all.
Work.
Yeah, let me just tell you, very, very important. Okay, he's back. Neil, I'm going to make you a pitch person for KPFT and PDR right now. Why is it that you're not only a somebody that comes on here on Thursdays with me, but why is it you're also a contributor to KPFT? Oh, he came and left. Well, you know how that. Oh, he's back. He's back. Go ahead, Neil.
Let's see. Tell me if I'm.
I can hear you.
Here.
Yes, I can.
I am a contributor. Okay. I am a contributor, and I'm very appreciative of being allowed here to be on Thursdays with the crew. This show is done with a lot of care. The production crew is here early. Egberto comes to the shows. You do a lot of preparation for it. And the biggest value here is inclusiveness to the callers. Callers always come first. They have the ability to change the subject if we're talking about one thing and the focus wants to be another. I am very appreciative of the kindness to the callers here, of the preparation, of the kindness and preparation from the studio. This is really a well done effort with care for the community, care for the station. And it's well worth your money and your assistance to keep it moving.
Look, thank you very much for that, Neil. And again, folks, we are still at zero. I'd like somebody to start us off just so that we know that there are people on that backside saying we want to support KPFT via Politics Done Right. So give us a call at 713-526-5738, extension number 1 to contribute. And we'll call you out on air right now unless you tell us not to do so. You can also go to kpft.org, kpft.org, and don't hit that donate button. Be sure to select Politics Done Right, that the contribution is in whose name the contribution is being made, so that we can account for it appropriately. Folks, we need to get calls at 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Don't have anything on the boards yet. This is the first day of fund drive. It'll be the first contribution of the day. Let's see whose name will be that first contributor to our summer fund drive at KPFT. I know we can get a chance to call your name out. I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit more programming so that you guys can dial up that phone or go to that screen. For those of you that are listening on the radio or listening otherwise, those fingers can be moving as you listen. Anyway, I want to talk about the price we pay for Bezos and Gates. But before I get there, Neil, is there any local issue that we need to discuss real quickly before I get to this program?
Boy, I'll just mention two very quickly. Cy-Fair ISD, the third largest school district in the state, covering a lot of unincorporated Harris County. Their 6-to-1 right-wing board is taking chapters out of textbooks about climate change, about accurate history. It's a huge district. You may hear that out of the corner of your ear or eye, something about Cy-Fair ISD, and that is the impact of voting and of organizing. I worked in that community for years. That's a super diverse community, and people have to vote, and it's a real shame. That's a huge district. Also, Harry mentioned the Palestine-Gaza issue. There was an encampment at University of Houston yesterday. It was torn down very quickly by what seems to be HPD, according to the Houston Landing story. I don't see, and probably University of Houston police. I don't see DPS mentioned. 2 of the protesters were arrested, and then yesterday there were big protests at the jail intake center downtown. The folks went downtown. So I want to commend the folks and commend their mobility. And one thing I hope, and I've talked to other organizers about this, the Palestinian protest movement, very much appreciated, but they operate a little bit on their own plane. So one goal for the future is that different movements, different protest movements, different activist groups find their way to each other, and that's a goal. But thank you to those folks, and hopefully the 2 folks arrested will be out. During the George Floyd protests, they were willfully keeping people in COVID-soaked jails, and so hopefully hopefully they're letting them out in proper time. They should have been arrested to begin with, probably.
Absolutely. Folks, the number is 713-526-5738, extension number 1 to contribute. And I have let me make sure that it's okay to call them out here. I don't see anything that says not to call them out. So I want to give a big thank you to Joni and Danny. You guys are the first supporters of Politics Done Right and KPFT for the day. We can't tell you how grateful we are for your contribution. Again, folks, join Joni and Danny, 713-526-5738, extension number 1. We need about 5 more donors like they are. So please go ahead. Actually, it all depends on how much you give, of course, but they gave much more than just a coffee a month. But, we'd love to get you to give us that coffee a month, that $5 a month contribution, for which we give you a thank you. And we have another great contributor from our one, and let me see if I can call her name. Of course, I can call her name. Melissa Bowie. Thank you so kindly, our beautiful Melissa, who is one of our great contributors, supporters, and voices at KPFT. Joni as well. Thank you guys for supporting the program. Please keep the support up. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Now, I mentioned that I want to talk about an article titled The Price of... let me throw it to Sandy before I do that. Go ahead, Sandy.
Thank you, Egberto. Yes, great. We have a couple of pledges on the board. We try to get the day started right on this program and last fund drive. As with this fund drive on day one, we're taking steps in the right direction already. So thanks for picking up that phone and dialing 713-526-5738, option 1, or go to kpft.org and click that donate button. Thank you, Egberto. Carry on.
Yes, absolutely. All right, folks, the price we pay for Bezos and Gates, less moral societies. And when I saw this article, my thing was like, that's it. That's it. When we talk a lot about economies, we talk about what's wrong with our economy where there are a few making a whole bunch on the many. And this article had some snippets that really made one get it. And it really goes as follows, right? Because think about it. How can the few continue to just create a system that makes a whole lot on the many as the many, I don't want to say suffer, but live a less than optimal life? Think about that. How do we, Gates is a great guy. He intends to give away all of his money. The guy who owns Howard I forgot the name of the big investment firm. He's given away all of his. Buffett. He's given away all of his money. Great guys. All right. They made a lot using this economic system. And yes, they're giving it all away. And people just go crazy saying, wow, look how nice that person is for giving all that money away that they've earned. And they're going to just give it away. And I ask people to think differently. I ask you to think, people, the moral decay that has happened within our minds is to say, well, they deserve it because they did something special. They worked and did something special that earned them that money. I reply to that and say, we have an economic model that allows those who are best able to take advantage of the intellect and the work and the worth of others to profit on that. And again, they don't do it because they're bad people. They do it because that was the design of our economic system. So Bill Gates went ahead and he bought a piece of software from a Seattle company, didn't tell them what he was doing with it, and then he licensed it to IBM. And by creating that particular economic model, his growth rate was infinite, right? Because every time IBM sold a piece of software, he got a cut of the action. And people say, well, he earned it. No, he made a good move that was possible within our economic system. And with that move, was able to accumulate billions of dollars. Now, the question is, did he do it? When Obama once said, you didn't make that, everybody got really upset and he walked it back. But the thing about it is he's right. There is a chip called the 8050. I wrote a little thing that made that chip do some fancy things that a lot of companies liked and, pretty much made my business off of that for quite a while. And eventually I kept on dropping the price until every other company could use this particular technique with this particular chip, right? I could have said, gone ahead and patented the stuff and had infinite capability as far as making a piece of the action for every single person that used that. But the way I looked at it is, the person who gave any one of these inventors or creators the ability to do these things, or society in general. You educated me. We educated Bill Gates. And that education and that society that we lived in gave us the wherewithal to do these things. So it is important for us as a society to start to see things a bit differently than how it's been programmed to us. That somehow any individual, and Neil, I so heartedly try to get us to think less of the individual and more of the collective of what all done. I could not be, Neil could not be absent the society that we have, and we have a responsibility to that society. And that responsibility isn't to become a billionaire on their backs. That responsibility is to do our parts. And yes, being able to become a billionaire on other people's work is a flaw within the economy that we've learned to accept. And as the piece that I'm talking about, it has created a less moral society, because suddenly we have thought it morally okay for somebody to enrich themselves on the pain, suffering, and just work of others. You go to the hospital and you can't get a procedure done because why? You can't afford a machine that somehow all of us paid for through the education that we've given the inventors and much more. It's a different way of thinking. I would say that it's a mathematical proven way of thinking if we can just get away from the indoctrination that we grew up with. And with that little narrative there, and until Neil comes back, I want to invite you to call 713-526-5738, extension number 1 to contribute. Please join Joni, Danny, and Melissa to be donors this morning. I am still about $350 away from my personal goal of this morning. Please go ahead and call us at 713-526-5738, extension number 1. I would love to be able to say, Sandy, to the coffers, to the rebuilding that you're doing, Politics Done Right is contributing 10 grand. I would love to be able to say that. When I say Politics Done Right, you know who Politics Done Right is. It's all of us. It's us as a community, the community, what we call the PDR posse. Let's go ahead and be that driving force that helps keep this station up and running. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. We have 2 donors so far, 3 donors when you call the pair. Please give us a call now, 713-526-5738, extension number 1. And I'm going to throw it to Sandy because Sandy is better at this than I am.
You think? I'm on my second cup of coffee, and as the sun goes, I still can't taste the day. Hey, we have a couple of pledges on the board. We've got that new steel thermos mug with a KPFT logo on it for $120 premium this morning. Thank you gift this morning, I should say. And I'm asking you to be so kind as to support KPFT. You know, we went by our 54th birthday on March 1st. 54 years plus in Houston with no commercials, with listener support, gathering that money during periods like this, during our fund drives, our share-a-thons. And, you know, it's an unbroken chain that we can look back on. It's a marvelous thing. Now, if you're like me and you turn on the radio or you turn on the flat screen, the cable, whatever it is, you know that it's impossible to watch what you're watching without very frequent interruptions for commercials. Very frequent. Like every 7 or 8 minutes, you're getting a couple of minutes of commercials now. It's absurd. It's amazing. And those stations, those media outlets that air those commercials, depend on that income, I should say, from those commercial sponsors. They do that faithfully. There's nothing you can do about it. Sure, your cable bill is $200, and sure, you got to put up with it anyway. Like you, yeah, I got that at my home, but it's just abhorrent when I turn it on and watch commercial after commercial, somebody advertising something I don't need, don't want, and interrupting the flow of the program that I was looking at. You can't do that here at KPFT because there are no commercials to be had, and we're not beholden to that dollar. So Egberto can come on and talk about economic systems and Bill Gates and Microsoft and has the freedom to do it. Another station that might be advertising Microsoft products would go, well, wait a minute, hold on, let's not air that stuff. I mean, that might offend Microsoft, and then they won't have the commercial and we won't get the money. It doesn't work like that here. We're asking you, listeners of KPFT, to step up and support KPFT. This is the first day of our Share-a-thon for May. It could end today. Everybody listening right now, just pick up the phone, 713-526-5738, option 1, or mouse it over to kpft.org and contribute. Your part, just your part. And if you can do this on a monthly basis, on a sustaining basis, $5 a month, your pledge will be matched with $57 by a group of donors that care about the station, 7 of which are involved with our local station board, and 1 very generous anonymous donor in the orbit of Houston that just believes, that knows that KPFT must continue to keep the balance on the airwaves, to keep media commercial free, unbiased and unfettered, truly free speech, truly First Amendment radio. So come on, join in. Don't be shy. We have another 14, 15 minutes left here on this program before we get to Democracy Now! This morning. It's your turn. 713-526-5738. So thanks to the couple of people that have stepped up this morning and made that pledge. In addition to the, if you want to do $140, we'll send you a pound of those beans that you can grind up, and you can drink like a DJ at KPFT. Lola Savannah Coffee keeps us powered. We have T-shirts for $100 as thank you gifts. We have the regular mug and the coffee as well. If you want just a coffee mug, KPFT logo mug, that's a $75 thank you to KPFT. We have hats, we have hoodies, we have a really nice KPFT rainbow logo hoodie. It's getting to be beach season. Maybe you're going to be doing a little traveling to where it's cooler. That hoodie will come in handy. That's $15 a month. $15 a month. 713-526-5738, option number 1, or kpft.org. It's you that keeps this station here. If you just moved to town, Egberto, I've seen so many out-of-town license plates in the last few months. If you're just tuning in for the first time, this is your first experience with community radio for KPFT during a fund drive, well, welcome. This is how we've done it for 54 plus years. And with a little bit of luck and your willingness, we'll do it for another 54 years and pass this forward. Yeah, we're freaked out about what's going on around the world, no doubt. But if we can't talk about it, we don't have a unfettered voice, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? George Orwell somewhere is smiling right now, having predicted things so well in 1984. 713-526-5738, option 1, or kpft.org. Egberto.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that, Sandy. 713-526-5738, option number 1 to contribute. And we have another person to say thank you to. Let me make sure if I can call the person's name. Yes, I can. Brian, thank you so kindly for your kind contribution to Politics Done Right. We honor your contribution. Folks, 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Now, folks, here's the deal. You can also get the T-shirt, the Politics Done Right T-shirt, a beautiful T-shirt with the blue characters and the Politics Done Right logo right there in the O of Politics Done Right. So that is, I think, $120 contribution for that thank you gift. $120 contribution gives you that thank you gift. So please give us a call, 713-526-5738. You know we're still going to give you programming. Now, I'll be honest with you. If more of these contributions come in earlier, I can give more of the program. But we have to continue to ask to make this quota, because we have to make the amount that it costs to run this station on a per hour basis. But before I go any further, Neil, come on in.
Great. Absolutely. So one of the great things about I'm here every Thursday I have a local effort of my own, the Houston Democracy Project. I encourage you to go to HoustonDemocracyProject.com. But I'm here every Thursday by the good graces of the studio crew and Egberto to be able to talk about my project, to talk about local politics. That's the kind of thing you can do on KPFT. We talk about local issues every Thursday morning.
Neil, I break into you to say this because I want to show you the power that you all have. I got several emails and a caller that said, I cover national politics mostly. And he said, you need to do some local politics. And I went to Brother Aquino. And I told Aquino, hey, you have the Houston Democracy Project. You follow what's going on in Houston. The audience ask for that. So, Neil, you're not just here from the benevolence of KPFT. You're here because the people ask for your type of politics, local politics, and much more. What station can you call? Can you email and say, this is what we need? Neil, I want to jump to Brian real quick and then come back because, Brian, come on in real quick, Brian, and thank you for your contribution.
No problem. Even though I don't agree with your policies and your tactics and everything else, I still support the station. Because if you don't have an opposite point of view, you do become 1984. That's all I got to say. Thanks. You all have a good day.
Thank you very much, Brian, and thank you for your support. Anyway, folks, yes, you guys hear Brian all of the time call in and give us, well, not us, give Politics Done Right hell. But we love Brian. He's a part of the PDR posse. All right. Neil, continue, my brother. Continue real quickly.
There's so much going on locally. There's the firefighters contract. There's Chief Finner. I think I don't mean to stand up for a cop too much, but Chief Finner I think took the fall for widespread mislabeling and dismissing of cases. There's the HCAD races, the appraisal district races. I'll bet we were one of the one or two most programs and stations in town discussing those appraisal district elections. There's the Molly Cook Jarvis Johnson race, and Molly was just here. There's so much locally going on. I referenced the school district we've talked about in Cy-Fair, HISD, and Harris County in Houston. They keep telling you it's the epicenter of it all. That control of Texas comes out of here. You see the legislature ceaselessly attacking our local autonomy, and we're able to discuss it here with the help of our listeners.
Absolutely. So, folks, I know that a lot of you may be waiting for the end of the program before you contribute. I'm telling you can go ahead and do it right now. 713-526-5738. Hit extension number 1 to contribute. Don't forget, Breakfast with Egberto. That's a thank you gift for $250. That thank you gift, folks. That's all it is, a thank you to say we appreciate you. Breakfast with Egberto, $250. The T-shirt, the Politics Done Right T-shirt, it's $120. And remember, all of these things you don't have to do all at once. You can do it over time. But what we are really stressing right now, as Sandy explained eloquently, is we want to have sustainers so that we can stop having these fund drives. If we can get our sustainer level up, that's $5 a month, $10 a month, or whatever, we can actually get rid of these fund drives because we would be driven by those people who have a vested interest in keeping this on air. And let me tell you, in as much as I do this work every morning, I am a $10 a month contributor to Politics Done Right for KPFT via Politics Done Right. So I'm asking all of you who listen as well to please become a $5 contributor a month, a $10 contributor a month. It's worth it. A lot of work goes into preparing for what we know we need to get you informed. And let me tell you, one of the preparers as well, you are. A lot of the things that you talk about, even things that Brian talks about, when Brian calls in here, Brian makes me think. Joe makes me think. It makes me open my eyes and see other views. I may not agree, but we think. And that is the type of politics we want. That's the type of station that we want. And you are the one supporting that. every time you contribute to KPFT via Politics Done Right, you are saying this is the kind of dialogue we want. This is the kind of politics that we want. David, come on in real quick. We don't have a lot of time left. So give me a 30 seconds, David. Thank you so kindly.
Oh, yeah, morning. Well, that's probably about enough. I've been hearing about the big storms, and I'm just wondering if the governor did anything to help put together aid for the various counties, or if the governor is going to spend more time on Snoopy legislation.
Thank you so kindly for that, David. And the answer is and I can tell you this qualified. It's a qualified no. Folks, 713-526-5738. Let me, Neil, give me a quick 15-second closer, and then I'm going to throw it to Sandy.
Very good. Houston Democracy Project. Check out the HoustonDemocracyProject.com. And don't forget your local politics. You can make a difference just as your donation here can make a difference.
Absolutely so. Sandy, go ahead.
Thank you, Egberto. Thank you for another fine show this morning and getting up early and doing this shift and, building an audience out there. We know that there's a bunch of you listening right now and a couple of people have stepped up. Don't be shy. We got a couple of minutes left and your contribution would be so welcomed. I just got another email. So your sustaining pledge is not going to be matched by $57, as I said before. Got one other person willing to throw in $1 to that pool. So a $58 match, $5 a month. You give us 60, it gets matched by $58, almost, not quite, but almost doubling what you're giving. So come on, we cannot walk by this opportunity, folks. $5 a month. Let's see 3 or 4 of you right now pop on and supply $5 a month to your community radio station, KPFT, community media, unbiased, unfettered, volunteer powered. I'm a volunteer. Egberto's a volunteer. We do this because we believe that media deserves a better fate than what we get otherwise. And I'll let you do this. Thank you. I see one more that just popped in from Baytown.
All right, from Baytown. Ermina, thank you so kindly. We couldn't do it without you. And also, I want to say, Billy Allison Erison says, Egberto Willies wanted you to know that my husband and I are sustainers and not taking a free ride with your wonderful show. I've been listening to you for over 10 years. Joni, call me tomorrow. We'll talk tomorrow, I promise. But I want to thank you for that contribution. Folks, we had a lot more to cover. Go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. It's there. So we'll always tell you, we'll give you the program and the edition. My name is Egberto Willies. I want to thank you so kindly for your support. I am what? Out.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.